We awoke this morning to bright sunny skies and a beautiful cityscape. After last night's welcome reception and a good night's rest, we joined our new friends for breakfast before boarding our Trafalgar motorcoach. Tour director Elizabeth Weichel and Coachmeister JT, affectionately known as Trouble, kept us on schedule and fully engaged throughout our 12 days together. We would soon be on our way to a city tour of Vancouver before heading to Vancouver Island. Stanley Park's 1,000-acre green oasis was indeed a very special place. Among its totem poles and along miles of shoreline pathways were gorgeous views of Canada Place and the city's heartbeat. We boarded our ferry boat at Tessawasam Terminal for what was a pleasant hour-and-a-half crossing of the Strait of Georgia to Swartz Bay, Vancouver Island. Sea Cider Farm and Cider House in Sanicton, British Columbia was where we met Kristen, our hostess and sixth-generation owner. Our tasting flights were amazing. Kristen's farm and orchard tour highlighted her family history and showed a genuine love for cider farming. More than 20 different cider varieties are produced here and were made available for purchase. By late afternoon, we arrived in beautiful Victoria, with plenty of time for an orientation driving tour prior to checking into our hotel. Overlooking the harbor, the Grand Pacific would be our home for 2 nights while exploring this beautiful city and the entire island. Dinner on the wharf and an evening at leisure concluded our perfect day. This morning began with a visit to the world-famous Butchart Gardens. Once a limestone quarry, over 110 years ago, Jenny Butchart envisioned landscaping a sunken garden in its place. Little by little, the quarry blossomed into a National Historic Site of Canada. We gathered for a private breakfast at Blue Poppy Restaurant before spending hours roaming through the most glorious flora you will ever see in these 50 acres of manicured grounds. Back in Victoria, the elegant Empress Hotel, with her luxurious look and feel, simply had to be experienced after hearing Elizabeth's stories about the Empress's ill-fated architect, Francis Rattenbury, and about Mr. Burchell, a former guest who was banned for life after seagulls fouled his room. Some of us went whale watching, but others chose to take in the city. Our walking tour ended with a late afternoon patio cafe lunch on Government Street's pedestrian mall. Victoria's architecture speaks well of her British colonial past in this grand harborside mecca. It was time for us to return to the mainland and begin our mountain journey. Vancouver Island's coastline was gorgeous. After a brief stop in Chamanis, we boarded our ferry en route to Horseshoe Bay and the famous Sea to Sky Highway.
Which is down below us, or coming up, we'll see it shortly. And in this cove, it's actually an inlet.
At Squamish, well above Howe Sound, we found an adventure perhaps more suited for eagles than people. From base camp, the Sea to Sky gondola lifted body, mind, and spirit to new heights and glorious views at Summit Lodge on the top of the mountain. We pulled into Whistler by early evening. Whistler Village was site of the 2010 Winter Olympics and is a beautiful ski resort town which caters to every whim and pleasure, even in summer months. Our Hilton Resort stay was delightful, and so was Sherry's choice of Mexican food. Friday morning began at the Squamish Inuit Cultural Center. It is here the First Nations people of Canada preserve, foster, and share their cultures through remarkable exhibitions and activities. Justifiable pride was quickly evident in their storytelling. For example, I had no idea that modern Vancouver sits on sacred land legally owned and celebrated by these natives. Following lunch at the Cultural Center, we were on our own. Sherry and I wasted no time exploring, shopping, and eating our way through Olympic Village. We were happy to take ourselves on the From Bench to Shaded Bench leisure tour for the remainder of the afternoon and evening. It was a beautiful travel day as we made our way on the Great Sea to Sky Canada Highway towards Sun Peaks Lodge, through Aleut and Kamloops. We even took the time to commemorate John's special day with a roadside birthday celebration. Rogers Pass in Glacier National Park wowed us with her majestic views of Iconoclast Mountain, Swiss Peaks, and the surrounding high range. By late afternoon, we were testing our skills on golden sky bridges and hiking trails while youthful guests zipped overhead. Then to Banff we went for what would be 2 nights and a full day of exploration. Most of us were up early, headed for Banff Gondola's bird's eye view of the city. Boy, was it spectacular. We then explored the exclusive Fairmont Hotel and soaked in all magnificence the area had to offer. Fairmont guests have enjoyed unrivaled service here since 1888. Hotel gardens add yet another layer of natural beauty to this exquisite setting. With a delightful driving tour of the surrounding area, we found even more grandeur. The day was topped off with a city stroll through the shopping district, people watching, and ice cream. I don't believe there's a more perfect setting in all of Canada than this idyllic town in all its glory. This evening we had the privilege of meeting retired Royal Canadian Mounted Police Sergeant Richard Davis. Out came fascinating real-life Sergeant Preston stories derived from his long and distinguished career. An hour north of Banff, through the high country, we came to the vivid turquoise waters of Lake Louise, surrounded by soaring peaks. Several red canoes skimmed her glacial waters. Then came a hike to Moraine Lake, where we could not help but to marvel at this unbelievable mountain setting. In Jasper National Park, we saw an up-close and personal view of the Athabasca Glacier, perhaps a once-in-a-lifetime event, since about 16 feet of depth is lost from the ice each year. The brisk, chilling wind on our faces that day and the blue ice under our feet will never be forgotten. I think nature was trying to tell us that much, much more must be done if we are to save our planet. Lake and river cruising among these glorious mountains would be our challenge on this day. A comfortable morning cruise atop the crystal waters of Moraine Lake with guide Mel and Captain Tara moved us past towering peaks and glaciers to a point near the iconic Spirit Island. For thousands of years, Spirit Island has held deep spiritual significance for the indigenous Stoney Nation. By mid-afternoon, we were ready to test our grit on the glacial whitewater of the Athabasca River. With our river guides wearing only flip-flops, we bundled up like Eskimos to ward off the drizzling rain, brisk winds, and occasional rough water soakings. Off we went for the next hour and a half. Magnificent vistas were plentiful, but oh my, we were quite chilled and wet. Let's just say we were extremely pleased to find plenty of hot chocolate waiting our arrival at the coach, courtesy of Elizabeth and JT. Time had come to leave these Canadian Rockies and return to the West Coast. About half of our friends boarded the famous Rocky Mountaineer at Jasper Station this morning for a 2-day spectacular journey back to Vancouver. The poorer souls among us stayed with Elizabeth and JT to travel a similar route on our coach. Much to our delight, we happened upon the Mountaineer later that morning running parallel to our highway. What fun to briefly share big waves and smiles with each other. Dinner and lodging tonight for those of us traveling VIP coach was at the charming South Thompson Inn near Kamloops. Its at-home country feel fit our mood on this last evening together before saying goodbye in Vancouver. We understand our Mountaineer brethren spent their 5-star night in Kamloops. Much to our surprise, JT showed up with this brand new motorcoach for our final push through coastal mountains in the Fraser Valley back to our Pinnacle Harbourfront Hotel in Vancouver. Time together had quickly come full circle as we said our goodbyes and set out to go our separate ways. After a delightful dinner on the waterfront and our final night, Sherry and I boarded our Pacific Cascade Amtrak to spend a few days with friends in Seattle before heading home to Charlotte. This Western Canada and Canadian Rockies tour was a perfect blend of natural beauty, cultural immersion, and thrilling adventures. Breathtaking views and rich cultural experiences let us pack away unforgettable memories. Captivated by the stunning beauty of towering peaks, sparkling glaciers, and emerald lakes, each day filled us with wonder.